In today's video, I want to share a story with you. I've touched on it a few times during the course of different videos, but it covers the time when something happened and it changed the way I saw the world, and I think it was really important. So I thought it was about time I really shared the story with you. And it goes back to early September of 2016. Now, as the summer was drawing to an end, I started to get stomach aches, and they were quite painful, and I was in a lot of pain and kept moaning about it. And they'd go, and then they'd come back, and they'd go, and they'd come back. And by the end of the month, Debs was saying to me, go and get yourself to the doctor, because I'm not very good at doing that. But she was like, get yourself there, there's something wrong. So I went to the doctor. He did what doctors do and checked for prostate and all that sort of thing, and couldn't really find anything wrong. So he put me on a course of tablets for 2 weeks. I took the tablets, and over the course of the 2 weeks, the stomach ache went away. It made an appointment for me to go back and see him to just make sure everything was okay. So it was now second week in October, something like that. Anyway, I go back to the doctors, tell him that the stomach aches appear to have gone and I feel fine. And he went, oh, well, that's good to hear anyway. Just wanted to check. So as my appointment was wrapping up, I just went to the door to open the door to leave. And he went, while I think of it, and I looked around at him and he said, you've got a fatty liver. I want to have a look at that, he said, because you've had it for a while. Let's go and check it out. So he sent me for a scan. The scan was in early October. It was in early November. It was the 8th of November. I know this because Deb's birthday is the day before. So I go for the scan, and I'm laid there on the thing, and they scan all of your stomach and all that. And after that was done, I went home, just a normal day. Around 5 o'clock that evening, I get a phone call. Dr. Hunt here. Oh, hello, doctor. Your scan today? Yeah. We've found a lump. I said, what do you mean you found a lump? They said, we found a lump the size of a lemon on your left kidney. And for a minute I was in shock. And I said, well, what do you mean you found a lump the size of a lemon on my kidney? He said, they found a lump. I said, what do you think it is? And he said, well, to be honest with you, he said, I think it's cancer. So I was like, ooh, that knocked me back a bit. He said, but what I've done, I've already been on to the doctors, to the hospital at Addenbrooke's, and I've made an appointment for you to have an MRI on the 18th, and you've got a appointment with the specialist on the 22nd. He said, and we'll know much more about what it is by the 22nd. So I said, okay. So we don't know what it is for sure right now. So he said, no, we don't. And the days between the 8th and the 22nd were days that changed the course of my life. Not because I found out what it was, because I didn't. But what it did make me do was sleep very little and think one hell of a lot. And like anyone, I suppose, I'm no different to anybody else. It's the fear of the unknown. I had the fear of the unknown. And I can remember laying in bed at night thinking, is this going to be my last Christmas? Will I see my next birthday? My boys live 200 miles from me. How many more times am I going to see them? I wonder how long I've got. And all these things were running through my mind, and constantly, every single day, every single night. And the funny thing was, all my life I've been thinking about earning a living, going out, working, doing this, doing that. And in that period of 18 days, not once did I think about earning a living. Not once did I think about the news and what was going on in the world, the things that normally get to us all. Everything, in fact, that I normally thought about on a day-to-day basis went out of the window. And the only thing that worried me, and the only thing I thought about for those days, was whether I'd be alive or not. What about my friends and family? My worries about them, what would happen if once I've gone? And you do think like that, you can't help it. So we went through those days. I went and had the scan on the 18th. And then on the 22nd, I had an appointment with the specialists. The appointment went through and they told us about the lump and that. And they said, we won't really know whether it's cancer or not until we get in there. And we don't know whether it's spread or not because the radiologist hasn't seen the scans yet. He said, but what we do know is we've booked you in. We're booking you in for an operation on the 22nd of December. So there was a month between that appointment and the other one. I did say to them, what are you going to do? And they said, well, we'll cut it away. He said, and that should, once we've cut it away, it's on the right side on the outside of your kidney, so it's not facing any inward organs. He said, so that's a good thing. So he said, but if we cut it away, then it'll be done. It's gone. My question to them was, if they cut it away, is there a chance that it would come back in that kidney? And they said, yeah, there is the minutest of chance. We may just miss a tiny bit. And I made the suggestion there and then of taking the complete kidney out, because if it wasn't affecting anywhere else, I could live with just the one kidney. And they agreed with me, and that's what we did. Funnily enough, that meeting made me feel better. Where I'd been worried about the future, that one made me feel better because I knew there was exactly what was going to happen. They were going to take it out. It wasn't going to affect any of my other organs in my body. It would be gone, finished. So I knew that I wasn't, if you like, at risk of the end of my life. And so I felt much better about that. The month goes on, and I can remember the day itself. I was in the waiting room. I'll put a photo up there of me pretending to be brave on the morning. I had the operation. It was about 6 hours apparently. It went very well. They got it out. And there was no spreading of anything, so we were okay. I had a couple of days in hospital where obviously you get the pain of the after thing. But all of a sudden, my thinking had changed. No longer was I concerned about money. We were thinking about moving to Spain at the time. That disappeared pretty much as soon as that operation went. And all of the things that I'd thought were important suddenly become of no importance to me at all. And what was important to me then was obviously getting better and feeling well and all that sort of thing. But it was all about the people in my life, the people that I loved, the people that I cared about. All of a sudden, it brought that into right into a focus, a focal point, if you like. My thinking from that day onwards changed. I came home and started recovery. They told me it would be 6 to 8 weeks. It turned out being 18 months probably before I was back to normal. But I'll tell you what else happened, and this is interesting. All of a sudden, I felt I needed to do something. I felt that where I live here in Cambridge, my boys are in Weymouth in Dorset. And yet all of a sudden I decided that I should move back to Weymouth because I needed to be near my boys. And we looked at a couple of businesses and I looked for some premises and all that sort of thing. We went to look at a house. And as I'm driving down there, I got the familiar feelings that I'd always had when I was going back to Weymouth. A feeling of overwhelm, if you like weight coming on my shoulders. As we came back, I said, Debs, do you know what? This is the wrong move. I felt that it was the wrong move. And I thought I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And I didn't know what the correct reasons were, but I knew that moving back there wouldn't make me happy, and I'd end up blaming my boys because I wanted to go back there for them. And it was the wrong reason. So we stopped doing that. A couple of years on, we had the lockdown. And during the lockdown, we had plenty of time to sit about at home. And I wanted to do something else, but I wanted to do something of value. And I kept watching Facebook and thinking, that'd be good. I'd like to do that. That looks like fun. Because everybody I saw doing it seemed like they were having fun. And I thought, yeah, that'd be good. I could do that. But I'm too old. I'm too old to be doing that. Everyone else is young on there. It's not for people like me. I put myself off. So after the lockdown came, I started looking for another business. I went down that road for 2 years. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs because this video would last another hour. But through the messing about of a third party, I couldn't get that business up and running. Anyway, I started thinking about what I was going to do. And it took me back to a time when I was about 18, 19. I was just thinking one day, and I had a great uncle who would have been about in his late 70s, early 80s at the time. And he used to tell me these stories of when he was growing up and when my dad was young and all that sort of thing. And I loved it. I really loved these stories. And I can remember when he died, wishing that I'd recorded them all. Wishing I'd recorded these stories and kept them for the family. And it struck me that what I could do is tell my stories on YouTube for my two sons. As a legacy, if you like. I could tell them the stories of growing up, the stories of our family, the things that had happened to me along the way with experiences that by sharing them, I could save them going through them. And also, when I'm gone, it's a legacy that my boys can say to their children as time goes on, that's your granddad. That's what your granddad was like. And so I decided to give it a go, give it a shot. Let's do this YouTube thing. And so I started it, and we're where we are today. And the reasons I started doing the YouTube channel were because I wanted to help my boys. I wanted to give them life lessons, if you like, give them a bit of encouragement as they went forward in their lives. Now, as you and I both know, the channel has changed in a way because other people have started watching it and the channel has grown. But I'm still doing what I wanted to do then. And I mentioned it yesterday, that about feeling purpose in your life and having a purpose. And how I feel that doing this channel and sharing my stories and sharing the tidbits of advice that I've got are helping other people. And that all stems from the lump in the kidney and those days when I didn't know what was going to happen to me. Because those days brought everything into focus for me about what was really important in my life. I was 56 when I had that happen. All the years before, I'd doubted myself, I'd worried about myself, I worried that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't clever enough. I'd done all sorts of things. I'd lost a business, I'd lost my marriage. Do you know what I mean? All things that came to me and made me doubt myself. And I felt so uncomfortable about it. I wasn't confident in my own skin. But that lump changed everything. Because once I knew exactly what was important to me deep down, everything fell into place. I no longer cared what people thought about me. I no longer worried about what I was doing and what people would say about what I was doing. I knew when I was ill that once I started to feel better, and I can remember the couple of days after the operation, laying in bed thinking, when I'm better, I'm going to make something of this life. I'm not wasting any more. I've got a second chance. And so at my darkest moments in my life, I had clarity. And it changed my thinking, but it gave me that clarity to know where I was going and what I wanted to do with my life. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. You could have named the video "The Moment That Changed My Life," but it wasn't as drastic as that. It was a period of days. It was drastic in the amount of my life, obviously. But those few days, I think, helped me become a better person. I didn't think I was a bad one to start off with. But the things I learned in the hours of despair and the darkness of a night time changed my thinking and changed my life. And I'm really glad about that. So what come from my worst moments of my life turned out that quite possibly they could have been the best moments and the turning point for a better life. And that's it from me today. I finally told that story in a bit fuller detail. It's day 28 of my video challenge. I'll be back tomorrow for day 29. And if you look over there, there's the playlist of all of the videos so far. I'll see you tomorrow.